Hi, how are you? Again, my name is Michelle Connor. I'm your VCS for Living Environment. Today our video is going to include a demo of our meiosis lab. We're going to look at a computer view for this as well as an iPad view, and we're going to look at how to record the data and some options we have for recording our data. Okay, so at first we're going to start with just kind of the general directions on how to use the interactive, how to get the kids started with it, and some options you have for recording and distributing the lab itself. So this you'll see is the actual PowerPoint lab. It is in TeachHub. This was adapted into a one-sheeter as well to make it a little bit easier. If you choose not to use the PowerPoint, you could use the one-sheeter. So when you go ahead and you open up the interactive lab, there is some like pre-lab questions that are included in both. There is a video which is included in the one-sheeter as well. So if you click on the interactive, it's going to open you up into this page. If you have an account, you could actually assign this directly to Google Classroom, and it allows the students to record and save their answers directly on the interactive lab itself. If you don't, it's completely free. If you choose not to do that, you can do the preview version, and it'll do exactly the same thing. It just won't save the student's answers. So let's just say we don't have an account. We're going to click into preview. There's an introduction. There's some pre-questions. You can have them answer that in their PowerPoint, or you could choose to just move to the actual simulation. So there are some directions. Each data set is different. So the first one is really just playing around to see what happens. You would click to start the interactive. You'll notice you have a mother and a father dragon. We could hit play, and you'll start to see the actual process occur for meiosis. Now, just for our intents and purposes, you could speed this up so you end up with your gametes. And the same thing on the other side. And what we're actually doing is we are going to create an offspring. Now, these are our gametes you have. You'll notice if you scroll directly on top of the DNA itself, you'll notice that it says exactly what alleles it possesses. You can click one, click another one, and now these are the two that are going to combine. So if we hit play again, you can speed it up. This is the offspring. So we have a wingless female purple dragon. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking a snapshot and putting it into their lab. So in order to do this, you're going to click the take a snapshot. And this is the tricky part. It's important that you hit save in order to get this to actually copy into your lab. So I'm going to show you what happens if you don't do that. So if you hit copy image, and I'm just going to use the single page lab just to show you, and you paste in the dragon, it's going to paste in a blank box. The image won't show up. So it's important when you're doing this, you hit save, and it'll actually bring the same exact image up again. Right click, copy image, and then you can paste it in. And for some reason, it pastes in the image that way, but not doing it the original way. You can resize it, and you can see exactly which ones the students grabbed, what their offspring looks like, so on and so forth. And then they can just X out of this. Now there are some questions, which again is in both the PowerPoint version as well as the Google Doc version. And then they will be asked to actually go ahead and get some specific scenarios to work out. So if they read this, they'll be able to determine that they have to create, it says click on the snapshot button and take a picture of the hornless offspring. So they're trying to create a hornless offspring. So they give you some information how to do that. It says horns are dominant. So it's important that you go over the basics of dominant and recessive alleles with your students. So this is kind of the way to kind of get your interactive lab going. You'll notice there's a spot for each dragon to be copy pasted, the pictures, as well as our analysis questions and your extension activity, which looks exactly the same in the PowerPoint. And you'll see that here as well. So next we're going to be looking at the iPad view. So now we're going to be looking at the iPad, iPhone version of this lab. So again, slides also works in the iPad view. If you click on the interactive virtual lab link, you hit open, it will again bring you to the lab. I already have it opened up in a separate tab. So again, you'd hit preview. And it looks exactly the same as the other one. So again, in order to do this, we're going to click here to start the interactive. You would click play. Again, this is all touch screen. You could also scoot it to the end instead of dragging the bar. If you just hit play and hit end. I like to encourage my students to actually watch it so they can get familiar with the process. We're going to click 2, again, random gametes for the first trial. Sometimes if you go to click it, it doesn't work. You have to kind of double click it. Hit play. And now for this example, we have a male yellow winged dragon that breathes fire. We're going to take a snapshot. And this works exactly the same way. We want to make sure, again, we save it first. And then if you hold down, so you have to click and hold down, and then this copy will pop up. So again, you want to click and hold. Takes about 2 seconds. Hit copy. Flip to either your slides, or again, this is what our one-pager looks like. It looks the same. And if we hold down, paste will pop up, and we can paste in our dragon. So this one actually is very iPad friendly, iPhone friendly. Just another thing to touch on. If you look at your second data set, it says right here, it says dead offspring will result when female gametes that have the H on chromosome 1 and also have B on the X chromosome, and the male gametes that have H on chromosome 1 also have a Y chromosome. This results in a male offspring with a lethal B allele on its single X chromosome. So there's actually an opportunity for the kids to get an offspring that does not survive. So it's important to kind of mention that, so if they go ahead and do it the first time and they end up with a dragon that doesn't survive, they understand that they have to continue to play around until they're able to get the dragon that we're looking for in our data set. So again, I always encourage my students to open up the website in a separate website so they can easily flip back and forth between the docs. So what happens is if you go ahead and just click on the interactive virtual lab and you hit open link, Safari, open. What happens is it opens it within the doc itself. So you'll notice that my doc no longer exists. The website is sitting in the document itself. So again, in order to do that, if you click on the top right-hand corner in that compass, it'll push it to its own site. And that's how I got it into its own tab. So then when I go back, you'll notice I could just hit done here and my document stays alive. So I can easily flip back and forth between my interactive lab in order to get my data, as well as my one-sheeter. And the same thing applies for the slide view as well. Again, my name's Michelle Connor. I'm your VCS for Living Environment, and thank you for joining us for our meiosis lab today.